I think from day one, we just wanted to create something that we would love.
Welcome to Lightweight's podcast. My name's Joe. Today's guest, the founder and creator of the Savannah Bananas, Jesse Cole. Did you sell Out Fenway?
Yeah.
What would that feel like?
It was surreal.
The genius and visionary behind the incredible sport, banana ball. Jesse Cole is out here in Los Angeles doing a partnership with Disney, Walt Disney. This is a quick little interview, so if you guys like it, leave a comment down below. Maybe we can do a full podcast next time he comes back to LA. Give a thumbs up and make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you missed it, in the very last episode, we have the Savannah Bananas' very own Jackson Olsen.
And then I get that gratitude, that like the pinch me moment where it's like, whoa, playing in front of 81,000 people right now.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Jesse Cole. We're here in LA, 3,000 miles away from home. What are we doing here?
Well, it's a special week here. We're doing Savannah Bananas Day at Disneyland, which is wild, and then two sold-out games at Angel Stadium in Anaheim.
Being such a fan of Walt, is this the craziest collaboration that you could possibly think of?
Yeah, well, Walt inspired a lot of what we do today. And when I think of how we built this game to be a place where not just baseball fans, but anyone can have fun. And that's his inspiration for building Disneyland, a place that adults and kids could have fun together. And to see us collaborating, I never would have imagined this. But, when you look at the two brands, the goal to bring people together, to bring joy, to do things that are impossible, which Disney has done. And many people say that's what we're doing right now. It's special. And the crazy thing is I think it's just the beginning for both of us. Disney, I think Walt built it not just thinking about the next few years, but building something that could last for centuries. And I hope that's the same thing with Banana Ball.
How did this all come together?
Well, it happens organically with most things. See, we do zero marketing. We spend $0 on traditional marketing. We invest everything on the experience. And what we hope is when someone comes out to our show, that we make them feel something they never felt before. We want our fans to say, you wouldn't believe what happened at the show tonight. And that's what happened. We were playing at Tampa, which was crazy in itself because we were playing at our first NFL stadium, which you're not supposed to play our type of games at NFL stadium. They build baseball stadiums for baseball games. But we're playing at an NFL stadium, 65,000 people. And immediately after the game, we hear from some Disney executives that I guess they had a lot of people come to our show. And one of them specifically met my wife after the game. Didn't know, but he said, that's the owner just thanking every single fan leaving. And I was on the other side of the stadium, and I stayed till the last fan left to sign their autographs. And he's like, we haven't seen that. And they were blown away. They were texting all the executives from Disney about the experience, the obsession with the details and the music and the touch points. And they just reached out, hey, we're fans of what you guys did. It was such an amazing experience, and we'd love to do something. And then after one call, another call, now 100 calls, this comes together. But I think, that's what it was for us. When I went to Disney as a kid, I became a fan because of how they made me feel, because of the experience, because of the magic. And it's amazing to think that we did that to make some other Disney executives feel the same way.
I went to the Rancho game 2 years ago. It was so cool seeing you in the crowd. 2 hours of nonstop action. Once you actually experience it, it was really mind-blowing.
Well, it's been an obsession with details. So what everybody sees, they see the highlights. They see all those big moments and the social media moments, but they don't see the hours of going through every single moment during the game. From when we first started, we had 5 things that we do before the game. Yes, we had the banana baby. Yes, we had the first banana. But now we have over 50 different moments that happen every single minute leading up to the game. People don't realize our shows that start at 7 o'clock, the show starts at 2 o'clock. We literally entertain with a rope drop, very similar to Disney. Then we have the players greeting fans. Then we have a Before the Peel show for an hour and a half. Then we have our march. Then we bring people in. Then we start doing the show in the concourse. Then we have the show in the field. We have an hour pregame. And then the actual show starts, and it's an hour. And then after that, we have a post-game plaza party for another hour. That has been worked on and iterated over and over and over again. And we just launched our Party Animals tour, headlining tour this past week. And we spent 2 hours after that first night going over every detail so we could get it better for the next night. And when you talk about Disney, he says, he'll always plus the experience. He said, Disneyland is a living, breathing thing. It'll never be complete. We'll always plus the show. And one of our fans' first principles is that we will always plus the experience. We're never done. We've never arrived. We're constantly getting better. And it's that obsession that I think drives a lot of us.
Was that the mentality from day one when you first started this?
I think from day one, we just wanted to create something that we would love. I think about people ask, the name of our company is Fans First. So it's an obsession with the fans. But, we put ourselves in our fans' shoes. And more than anything, when I was sitting there watching a baseball game and no longer playing, I realized that I was bored. There's a difference when you're playing. You're out on the field, you can control the game. But I was sitting there, I was like, this game's slow. He's stepping out too long. There's mound visits. It's just boring. And I said, well, what if I created something that I would love, that I would be obsessed with, that I would get excited about? And the greatest creators do the same thing. Walt Disney wanted to do that. The greatest filmmakers, George Lucas, wanted to create a movie that he would love. They all do that. And when you become your actual customer, you never settle for the way things were, because you always believe it can be a little bit better. And so once we started building this and experimenting, I said every day, it's like, no, we've seen this before. How do we show something tomorrow that we've never seen before? That's the excitement, and I think fans have gravitated towards it.
Real quick, this show is sponsored by Liquid IV. I go on day trips to the beach where it can get very hot, so I make sure to always pack my Liquid IV. Liquid IV is the perfect companion for your hottest summer plans. They just launched an exhilarating new flavor, Arctic Raspberry. Plus, Liquid IV has sugar-free solutions powered by Live Hydroscience for smart hydration. Visit liquidiv.com and use code LIGHTWEIGHT at checkout for 20% off your first order. As someone who's very active, I do need to stay hydrated, which is why Liquid IV always has my back. Plus, their newest sugar-free flavor is perfect for the summer heat. Just one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Plus, there's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. And 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So no matter what your summer brings, tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and use code LIGHTWEIGHT to get 20% off your first order with code LIGHTWEIGHT. Again, that's 20% off your first order with code LIGHTWEIGHT at liquidiv.com. Plus, I love Liquid IV when I first wake up. If my mouth's super dry and I'm really dehydrated, pop one of those in and boom, back to normal. Was there a moment that really felt like this was a movement rather than just a baseball game?
Every night, there are moments that I think for all of us, they take our breath away. And for me, it was the first One City World Tour. Now, again, the craziness of calling something a One City World Tour, but that's, again, part of our mindset. It is start small, dream big. So one city, start small, dream big, World Tour. We still call it a World Tour. We still only play in the United States, but we will play all over the world. So we have that mindset. So I'll never forget, it was the One City World Tour of all places in Mobile, Alabama. Again, we went a place that lost minor league baseball. And you think about that, all the places that we go, so many places, they either lost minor league baseball or maybe they haven't had the greatest attendance or they haven't had a lot of love and support. And we're able to go there and hopefully bring back that passion. So we went to Mobile. This is right in the middle to end of COVID. And so people were like still kind of what's going on? But we sold out the games at the number we were allowed to sell, 3,500 each night. And we had mishaps the first night, so many things, sound, challenges, promotions. We've never done this before, lots of challenges. But then the second night we got better. We started nailing everything, just hitting it, right? And at the end of the night, we had a surprise fireworks show. Because again, why would we tell people? When we have guests, we never tell anybody. Make it a surprise. So surprise fireworks show, we're playing The Greatest Showman soundtrack, theme it together. And I'm watching people, and I watched a mother and the 2 daughters. She had her arms around her, and there was tears coming down her face because she was together with her family, feeling that. And then after the night, the game finishes. We're all like getting ready to celebrate, but the fans won't leave. So the band's playing out in front of the stadium, basically in a parking lot. We didn't have a plaza like we had set up now. It's just a parking lot. The band's playing over and over. They're playing. It's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Fans aren't leaving. So I'm looking at the band. They are exhausted. I mean, they are just done, like dripping sweat. Finally, the drummer's just doing a solo to kind of keep the music going. And then I watch our tuba player start just playing the opening beats of Stand By Me. And I watch what happened next. The players, the cast, the fans, they started putting their arms around each other. And everyone started singing Stand By Me. And it sounds very kumbaya, I understand, but I looked around and said, there's nowhere else in the world this is happening right now. Players, cast, staff, fans, all together as one, singing Stand By Me. That moment I said, there's something here. People don't want to leave. Most baseball games, 6th, 7th, 8th inning, you might have had enough. This is now 10 o'clock at night. They've been there for hours. And they're putting their arms around sweaty people and singing Stand By Me. And so that was the start of a tradition we do every single night in Banana Land. Now it's hundreds of people. And, that was the start. And there's been numerous since then. But when you see people coming together and not having to take out their phone and film things, they just feel like they're a part of something. That's it. And I think we create those every night.
How do you keep topping yourselves? That's like the most mind-blowing thing because every game is so different. And like you said, there's just 50 different activities.
Well, yeah, and every night we're doing 10 to 15 things we've never done before. So,
and you pull it off with such ease. That's what's so mind-blowing.
No. People haven't seen, the living pinata, the pregnant women dance-offs. They haven't seen the horse head races. They haven't seen a lot of these promotions that haven't gone well. Every night things don't go well. But what people don't realize is, so in a baseball game, you might have 2 or 3 at-bats, right? Shohei Ohtani comes up 2 or 3, 4 times maybe. And he strikes out a couple times, gets out. You don't get to see it. But because we do so many different things, if we mess up one, we have another one coming right after it. We have so many at-bats in a given night to hit a home run, to have something truly special happen that, we see more and the fans get to experience more. So yeah, it starts early in the week, creativity. I mean, we just finished four shows this weekend. We had in front of 50,000 plus fans, 2 sold out games in Kansas City, and then we had 2 sold out games in Albuquerque. And you better believe, right now, 24 hours after our last game in Albuquerque, we're already working on all of our ideas for this weekend. And we're writing, we're scripting, we're going through the process. We're figuring out what props we need. How are we going to nail this dance? How are we going to nail this lip sync? How are we going to nail the blocking of this? And that's a creative organization because that fires us up. Because those moments that you nail it and the crowd goes wild and you can see the response, it's worth it for all those ones that you don't hit. And so that's what we work on. And what's happened is we all have that obsession and excitement. Players, cast, staff, even the fans send us ideas because, we're not afraid to try it. We're not afraid to fail because we got another show the next day. We got another opportunity in the next half inning. And so when you're not afraid to fail, that's how you succeed.
I know you have to head out. Do you want to head out?
Let's keep rolling. I'm having fun.
Sure?
Let's keep rolling.
How do you come up with the different rules? Because I'm sure over time you've done things that just don't stick. But like a fan catching a ball and the player getting out, that's phenomenal. It makes it so exciting to be in the crowd.
Yeah, well, you put yourself in the fan's shoes. It's very simple to come up with the rules when you say, hey, you can start with a blank slate. Go on a whiteboard and say, what if there were no rules to the game? What would be something fun to happen? And then start with all the rules that you hate, that are boring, all right? The walks, the mound visits, the stepping out of the box, all right? Those rules are boring. They're not fun. Eliminate them. If you were to eliminate them, then what would happen? And so I think it's that what-if philosophy, that blank slate. What Disney calls is blue sky. In their creative process, they say, we're going to blue sky this. Start from a blue sky. Don't start with the way that you think things have to be. Start with what would be something that would be perfect, that would be amazing. So the way we came up with the idea of the fan catching a foul ball, I envisioned the idea of a fan catching a foul ball to win a game, and then the players going into the crowd, grabbing them, bringing them on the field, and celebrating with that person. The perfect scenario. And then the media interviewing them. You just won the game for the Savannah Bananas. You're a hero. That's what I envision. Now, again, the chances of that happening are very slim.
Has it happened?
3 times now. Last game, a kid caught a ball in showdowns to win the game. We had a 71-year-old catch a ball to win the game at a Major League Stadium in Cleveland, Progressive Field. We had a 15-year-old catch a ball a few years ago. And so you back up, you picture the perfect scenario and then reverse engineer and say, well, what if that could happen? Well, what then would you have to do to create a rule? And so all that. So again, I think the rules, you want to keep it simple. You don't want to have too many.
Right.
Everyone comes to me with new rules every day. Oh, what if in this inning they run to third? What if this? It's creative, but I've learned if you confuse, you lose. We're still in the first inning. If you throw in all these other rules, people aren't going to be able to understand it. I want my 5-year-old, my 6-year-old, my kids to know all the rules down like this so then they can tell their friends, no. In banana ball, this is the way it works. Because if you want something to really become a movement, it has to spread not by you and what you say, by what your fans say. And so that's when we think about the rules. How can strategically, no bunting, all right? Because we say because bunting sucks, all right? People will debate that over and over again, but it creates attention. It gets people talking. When you can create something that gets people talking, that's a win. That's marketing in itself. Remember, we're spending $0 on traditional marketing. We invest everything on the experience. So when you can create rules that create attention, then that spreads and that becomes contagious and people talk about it and they get fired up about it. And so when we do the rules before the game, when we say no bunting, if you bunt, you're thrown out of the game because bunting sucks, the crowd erupts and they cheer, all right? They're cheering over a rule. Like, that's crazy. You don't have in a regular baseball game, they're like, all right, the infield fly rule. Like, yeah, love this rule. It doesn't happen. But in our rules, people get excited. When we say, did you bring your glove? People get fired up because they're like, I'm going to catch a ball and make an impact in this game. And that's how we think of it all.
Is there difficulty finding the balance of keeping baseball with banana ball, where you want to have your own creative to make sure that everything is fun for the fan, but still maintaining the integrity of baseball?
I don't like the word integrity. I think that, when you talk about the integrity of the game, what does that even mean? Things change. If you talk about the integrity of the game in the 1920s and 1930s is a lot different than it is now. You got to evolve with the fans. Don't just think about what your past fans want. What do your future fans want? So when I think about the game of baseball, I think our game is rooted in the game of baseball. Obviously, we understand it. There's first base, second base, third base, and there's home plate. There's home runs. But we changed the scoring because blowouts in a baseball game is boring. I watched this. The night I was going to propose to my wife, on August 4th, 2014, we had a sold-out game. This was our former team in Gastonia, North Carolina. And I had a plan. The 6th inning, I was going to bring everyone on the field, and I was going to thank everyone, and I was going to propose to my wife. Well, my girlfriend then. We got blown out. We let up 9 runs in the first inning. I'm sitting there. I'm watching fans leave. I'm like, this is going to be an awesome moment. I'm going to have a surprise fireworks show, and I didn't tell anybody. And it's a blowout. We're down 9-0. People were leaving. All right? That's not good baseball. That's not a good show. That's not a good experience. So we said, well, what if there were no blowouts? Again, blank slate. Well, how do you create that? Well, what if every inning only counts for 1 point? So a team could score 5, 6, 7 runs. Doesn't matter. You get 1 point. How do you create a game that it always comes down to the last inning and it's exciting for the fans? So they don't want to leave in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And so that's how we started building it. And so, yes, we're rooted in the game of baseball, but we just try to maximize every single play, every inning to be the most exciting for fans. That's why we came up with the golden batter rule. At the end of a basketball game in the finals, Steph Curry, LeBron James, your best player is going to have the ball going for it. Jordan's going to have the ball back in the 90s. But in baseball, your 3-4 hitter, if all of a sudden you're 9th inning and you're at the end of the lineup, you don't get that. But not in banana ball. We said, what if we created something where your best hitter can come back up to bat? And again, I grew up in south of Boston, so I'm thinking about David Ortiz and what he did. And I'm like, David Ortiz hits in the 8th inning, gets out, but bam, he's coming back up in the 9th? Heck yeah. I'm all in. And so you imagine that. I want Ortiz hitting, one of the most clutch hitters of all time. I want him hitting in the 9th inning at every key game. And that's what we created. And so this is the mindset, rooted in the game of baseball, but then it's completely created with an obsession for what would be the best fan experience. And we're going to keep creating to make it better.
Did you sell out Fenway?
Yeah.
What would that feel like?
It was surreal. I've been to Fenway over 100 times. I got to be honorary bat boy when I was 5 years old. And what's crazy about that, I sat there, that was, in 1989, I'm dating myself back then, and the Red Sox weren't that great back then. There was probably half capacity. And I'm sitting in the dugout by myself, shy, introverted, only child kid, and one player came up next to me and spent 20 minutes talking to me.
Who was it?
It was Hall of Famer Lee Smith. And he gave me my first moment. He made me feel like I mattered. I got to know a Red Sox player. I felt like I was on top of the world. And I fell in love with baseball then. And then when we got the call 2 years ago from the National Baseball Hall of Fame, a call I'll never forget. The president called us and said, we can't ignore the Bananas anymore. Now, that's not how I expected to get that call, all right? Not with that language. But he said, we want to put you guys in the Hall of Fame. We want to create an exhibit. We want to celebrate what you've done and the impact you've made in baseball. And I was blown away. And we showed up there. It was our last game of the tour. And the person there greeting me was Hall of Famer Lee Smith.
How?
And he had the picture from when I was 5 years old. What's crazy about that, the Hall of Fame didn't know that. They reached out. They reached out to just some Hall of Famers. And they had him, and I think they had Al Simmons. And they just said, yeah, we'll be there for it. Boom. And then they put it together, saw that, gave the picture. It was unbelievable. Coincidence. The reason we are in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, the reason why we get to do everything we do is because we are fans first. Because every decision we don't make it on dollars, revenue, profits. Literally. No ticket fees. We pay our fans taxes. In Savannah, every ticket is all inclusive. No shipping fees. Every decision we make is fans first. The reason we're in the Hall of Fame is because we're fans first. And Lee Smith gave me my first fans first moment. And to be there in the full circle moment, it's pretty special. So then to be back at Fenway, where I was, as a 5-year-old kid, got to be bat boy, went to 100+ games, and look up and see 37,000 fans. And as we sang Yellow, our tradition, put up the lights, everyone sang Yellow, look around, and saw that Banana Land, what we had built, had taken over Fenway. And everyone, for the first time ever, is singing Yellow, a moment, a tradition that we created that people will never forget. That was a moment I'll say I got a little emotional looking around.
Truly mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was special.
How big is the wait list now?
By the time you release this, it'll be outdated, but it's approaching 3.5 million.
Where do you go from here? 65,000 people you're selling out. What's next?
Well, the simple answer, and this isn't a political answer, it's rooted at what's best for the fans. So what does that mean? Number one, how do we take care of more fans? There's over 3 million plus people who can't get to games. So yes, do we need to continue to look at big venues? Yes. Since we did Clemson 81,000 in these football stadiums, have we heard from almost every college football stadium? Yes. Have we heard from the ones over 100,000? Yes. Have we heard from some of the biggest stadiums all over the world? Yes. That's a piece of the puzzle. But you know what excites me? Surprise games, pop-up games, going into a town, a small town that never would expect us and showing up and just put on a show for the fans. Going to these other places around the country, different states that don't get baseball as much. They don't, the ones that don't have the minor league teams, they don't have the major league teams. That excites me. I think it's a balance. People don't realize we have 4 teams now. We're having 2 more starting 2026, the Banana Ball Championship League. We're not the Globetrotters. We're trying to build the sport of banana ball. When you build a sport, you can create a movement. And it's a sport with competitiveness, but also with entertainment and an obsession with fans. That's something that I believe can last for the long run. That's an enduring sport. And so I think, yes, international will be in the future. Yes, I think playing at some of the world's largest stadiums. But yeah, maybe pulling up in a backyard somewhere and playing a backyard wiffle ball game with both teams and having fun with some fans. We did a cruise with 2,000 people. That was an intimate experience for 5 days with no banana ball. That was a test.
Just hanging out with the teams?
Well, yeah, we had to figure out how to entertain for 5 days. People don't realize constraints foster creativity. Going into a football stadium, we had no idea what we were doing. We had to figure it out. But then we created some of the most entertaining banana ball games in history. At Clemson, an hour and 43-minute game with 11 home runs, almost 20 trick plays. It was exhilarating. And so we wouldn't have found that out if you don't do it. So the question is, where else could we play? Could we play at a beach? An actual game on a beach with the ocean is where you hit home runs. Could we play in an aircraft carrier? Could we play at Central Park? All those questions you ask, what if? That's exciting because it's going to be hard. And we're going to have no idea how to do it. But we'll figure it out. And the fans will experience something they've never experienced anywhere else. That's what fires me up every day.
I know you love a good idea. So what did the AllAmerican Rejects?
There you go.
What kind of gears did that get going in you?
Well, people don't realize we've been talking about doing pop-up games for over 2 to 3 years. We've been talking about doing a sunrise game. We've been talking about doing these surprise games. And the AllAmerican Rejects, again, proved it. They went and did it. You can talk about things, but once you do it. And so we were ready and still are ready to look at that for 2026. But, I was inspired by them. Immediately put a video out. They reached out immediately afterwards. We connected. We're fans of each other, obviously, what we're doing. Anytime you do things just for fans, they said, forget the Ticketmaster fees. Forget about all that other parking crap. We're just going to do this for the fans. Why don't we all do that? Forget about the money. Create fans. You create fans, the money will take care of itself. And so that's the mindset. So obviously they're doing it. Big fans of what they're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if we do something fun together in the years to come.
Jesse, this has been so cool talking to you. Thank you so much for the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was so good. Thank you so much.